Hello and welcome to the Party and Place cooking demonstration. Thank you so very much for supporting Open Arms Adoptions. I'm Missy Neosio-Bradovic, Silver Leader with Tastefully Simple.
And I'm Muncie Yarborough, Leader with Tastefully Simple. Tastefully Simple is a gourmet food company that's headquartered in Alexandria, Minnesota. This year we're celebrating our 25th anniversary of bringing quality meals into your home.
And today, we're gonna show you how to make the roasted veggie and chicken over quinoa dish from your 5-meal Mediterranean kit. Let's get started. Muncie's gonna go turn on the oven and she's gonna preheat it to 425. And while whoever you're cooking with in your kitchen is turning the oven on, you're gonna grab a gallon freezer bag, which we're gonna need to throw all the ingredients in so they can marinate and marry the flavors together. I'm gonna recommend that if you don't have this nifty baggie stand, that you get a bowl or something to hold your baggie upright so that you don't have a mess all over your counter.
So Missy, where can you find one of these stands?
Oh, you can get those off of Amazon or from your Tastefully Simple consultant. So the first thing we're gonna add into this bag is your cubed chicken. So you're gonna get 1.5 pounds of chicken and you're gonna cube it. Now I did this ahead of time just so you weren't bored watching me cut chicken, but I'm definitely gonna recommend that you do not cut chicken on a wooden cutting board because wood is porous and you don't want the juices from the chicken sitting in your wood cutting board. You wanna make sure you use plastic, and when you cube your chicken, you wanna make sure it's as even as possible so that it cooks evenly in the oven. So we're gonna go ahead and add that to our Ziploc bag. And the next thing we're gonna add is our zucchini. So with the zucchini, a lot of times they're wider on one end and narrower on the other. My cooking tip for you is to cut it in half to make your chopping easier and more uniform. So what we're gonna do is these need to be quartered. So you wanna slice in half and then in half again. And then you're gonna go ahead and just chop. Now, we are not Food Network chefs here, we are home cooks. So while you wanna try and get the pieces about the same, it's okay if they're not exact. And you wanna use a nice sharp knife. I love this vegetable cleaver because it kind of goes through the veggies really easily. And always watch your fingers. You don't want to cut those off. So when you're cutting close, turn your fingertips in and hold down firmly so that they're away from the blade. And we're going to scoop those up and add those to the bag with your chicken. And then we're going to go ahead and cut your other half. And this is a great time of year to find squashes and zucchinis at your local farmer's market because they are in season and have probably just been freshly harvested. All right, so now we're gonna move on to our yellow squash. I already got it started for us, but the same technique. So a lot of times the yellow squash are narrower on the top than they are on the bottom. So just cut those in half that way before you start quartering because that's gonna make your cutting a whole lot easier. So Muncie, who do you like to cook with in the kitchen?
So I actually enjoy cooking with my kids. I'm an adoptive mother and I have 5 kids at home. And I just love teaching my kids how to make quality meals and try new things. So usually when kids are trying things and cooking, they're more inclined to try something new. So it's nice to be able to do that with my kids.
That's awesome. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the red bell pepper and we're gonna chop this. Now, all of our meals are super flexible. So I'm gonna recommend that you always shop your own pantry first before you head to the grocery store. That's gonna A, mean that you have no waste, right? Because we're using everything we have. And B, you're gonna use what you enjoy. So it calls for a red bell pepper, but if you happen to have a green one, a yellow one, an orange one already in your refrigerator, that's okay. The red ones are just a little bit sweeter, but you can use any pepper you'd like. Now, everybody always asks me, how do I cut a pepper? What's the right way? Sometimes people go right through the middle. I like to take a paring knife and kind of cut the top off first. And that is going to allow us to pull the center core out that has most of the seeds. Just like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this in half. And cut it in half again. Get this knife out of the way. And then if you have any ribbing left, you can take your paring knife and just carefully slice that out. And then I'm just gonna cut this in half and give it a good rough chop.
So what's also really nice too about this particular meal kit and any of our Tastefully Simple meals is that they are very versatile, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So you can totally make this flexible. If your family doesn't like zucchini, you can omit it and just add some more peppers. Or if you would like to add a sweet onion to the recipe, go for it. The world is your oyster and cooking dinners should be something your family loves while you're trying something new. All right, red pepper chopped and going in the bag. All right, so the next thing we're gonna add into the bag is our portobello mushrooms. Now I've already gotten them started for you, but I'm gonna show you how to dice those up too. So it calls for a 6-ounce package of sliced portobellos. Now, I only found 8-ounce packages. 2 more ounces of mushrooms is a-okay. So if you want to add a little bit more, that's great as well. I also really love a portobello mushroom because they're a meatier texture to them. They're very earthy and they add great flavor. If you don't care for portobello mushrooms and want to use a snow white mushroom, that's okay as well. So you're going to take your sliced portobello and you're going to quarter it. And I do that by just kind of making a cross. So I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise and then again widthwise. And then you have your quartered portobello. So we're going to go ahead and drop that in the bag. And then we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, most of the times I don't measure things, so if you guys are like me in the kitchen, don't feel bad. Most of the times I just go around the bag once or twice. But I'm gonna measure so we're exact for this demo. So we're just gonna drizzle in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, I'm using a Mediterranean blend olive oil, but you guys can use avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, anything that you like and have in your pantry. I just don't recommend like a full-on vegetable oil because that's going to be heavy, it's going to add calories, and it's going to take away from the lightness of the dish. So the next thing we're going to add is 2 tablespoons of the aged balsamic vinegar. And that'll go right into the bag, right on top of your veggies. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in some spices. So just in case you guys didn't know, every seasoning jar from Tastefully Simple has a cap that measures a perfect 2 tablespoons. So if you need a tablespoon or 2, no need to whip out a measuring spoon, you can use the lid. So we need 1 tablespoon of spinach and herb. So I am going to use a half a cap, and I'm going to pour that right in. And then the next thing we're going to need is our garlic. And we're going to need a teaspoon of that. Now, I love garlic, so I may add just a pinch more. Know that every teaspoon is equivalent to 1 fresh clove. So keep that in mind when you're adding garlic to your fresh dishes because it can be quite pungent if you add too much. But if you're like me and love garlic, add away.
So the garlic seasoning is, what makes it different than the other ones you might see?
It's fresh garlic and it is nothing artificial. So what you're getting in the jar is what you're going to taste in your dish. All right, Muncie, so go ahead and seal that up. So we're going to seal up the Ziploc bag and we are going to toss it to coat. You want to make sure you turn it upside down and turn it around. Make sure it's sealed before you turn it over because you don't want anything to leak all over. Yep. Air is the enemy of the freezer. So if you were going to prep this and put it in the freezer to make at a later date, you want to make sure all the air is out of your package. But Muncie's going to go ahead and get the oil and the seasonings all moved around all over the chicken and your vegetables.
So can other meals in the meal kit be prepped ahead of time?
Yes, they can be, but they're also made in about 30 to 40 minutes, so you can make them fresh the day you want to eat them. All right, so we're gonna let this sit and kind of chill out for a few minutes while Muncie heads over to the stove so she can get the quinoa started.
All right, so while the chicken and veggies are marinating, we're gonna go ahead and get the quinoa started. So what you're gonna need is 3 cups of water, a cup and a half of quinoa, a tablespoon of the spinach and herb seasoning, and a tablespoon of the garlic, which came in the Mediterranean 5-meal kits. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and add it. We're gonna add all the ingredients together, give it a nice stir, and then we're just gonna let it boil for about 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your stove, until it's nice and fluffy. Put a lid on it. Make sure all the quinoa is completely wet, covered. Okay. And you're gonna put a lid on it. You're gonna let it come to a boil and then you're gonna bring it down in temperature. So for about a few minutes, about 3 to 5 till it boils, and then we'll let it go down for about 15 minutes.
So while Muncie's getting the quinoa all good and ready for you, we're gonna go ahead and get the chicken and veggies in the oven. The first thing you wanna do is grab a large sheet pan and cover it in foil, just like I did. And I like to kind of tuck it over the edges so that the foil doesn't move. And you wanna make sure that your cookie sheet has a rim so that none of the juices or anything spill off into your oven. And then we're gonna take our bag of beautiful veggies and seasonings, and we're just gonna dump it evenly right into this pan. And you just wanna smooth it kind of over and make a nice even layer and cover every ounce of your baking sheet. That way the baking will happen evenly. All right. So now your oven should be ready. Remember, we preheated it to 425 when we started, and we're going to pop these in the oven for 20 minutes. So Muncie, while our wonderful meal is cooking, let's have a little chat.
Sure.
All right. So did you know that families who eat together stay together?
Yes, actually I did.
So we're going to tell you 9 reasons why families should eat dinner together. So the first reason is that it'll bring better family relations. Did you know that? When you're all sitting down together, you can have a nice chat about your day and decompress and be in touch.
Absolutely, especially nowadays when we're so busy and everybody's got crazy schedules. It's a nice time to just connect and just regroup as a family and see how everybody is and what they're doing.
For sure. Another thing is that meals together lead to healthier eating habits. So you know when your kids turn their nose up to all those great vegetables, if it's on the dinner table and that's what you're serving, they're going to eat better.
Absolutely.
Less time through the drive-thru.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So eating as a family leads to better grades. Now you said that you like to cook in the kitchen with your kids.
So there's actually, what people aren't aware of is that when you're cooking, there's a lot of STEM involved, and there's a lot of science and math and all kinds of ways to learn and you can kind of sneak it in there and the kids don't even realize they're learning. So we can do all sorts of things with fractions and things like that, and they really enjoy it.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
So studying on the sly. I
Yeah,
like
that's
it.
right.
All right. So family dinners are a chance to explore new foods. You had mentioned that earlier, that the kids are getting really excited to cook with you because
They
you're
are.
getting them to try new things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Quinoa was a surprise to them that they actually do like it. So that was very nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I snuck in a little sun-dried tomato in the mac and cheese the other night, and my son was like, "What's this, Mom? I like it." And I was like, "It's bacon. Just eat it. It's good." All right. So do you know that family dinners lead to greater happiness? Is your family happy after you feed them?
I think anybody's happy after you feed them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they are. They enjoy the round table, and they enjoy eating together. And yeah,
Absolutely. And it also, that happiness and joy just from food, right? Food brings people together. And that's how I grew up, in a big Italian house. The door was always open and the table was always full.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Homemade meals promote portion control. How many of us are guilty of grazing throughout the day, right? You just go to the fridge and eat instead of sitting and making a meal. When you have a meal already made and served, it is really helping with portion control, so you're not overeating the bad stuff and you're eating all the good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Family dinners equal healthy kids.
Oh my goodness, yes. Absolutely, because if you're focusing on homemade meals and the kids are participating and everybody's eating the same thing, you're less inclined to be eating the junk food and the fast food and the drive-thrus. And if you have a plan, which is always very good to have meal plans, and Tastefully Simple is known for doing those types of things for you. So absolutely. So yes, they are definitely healthier.
Family dinners relieve stress. And I know that is true in our house. My husband works a ton. And when we can be together at the end of the day, it is so stress relieving because we could leave work behind and the stress of school, and we just get to be together as a family.
Yeah.
And finally, our number one reason for eating with our family is that it saves money. How much money do you spend going through a drive-thru versus cooking?
Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous.
Right?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
And like I mentioned earlier when we were cutting up the vegetables, use what you already have so it's not going to waste. You will watch your grocery bill go down because you're throwing less away and you're consuming more. So those are our tips for eating together as a family.
All right, so the quinoa is done, and what you want to do to make sure that it's ready to go is that you want to make sure that all the liquid has been absorbed. So you want to take a look at the quinoa, and you're going to take a fork and you're going to fluff it up. Now you can check the bottom, make sure it's all pretty much absorbed, and in this case it has been. And it's when you are cooking and you want to put it when it's when the time is up, you can turn it off or and keep the lid on, and it'll continue to stay warm, and it'll continue to finish up cooking that little last bit with the steam already in the pot. So so the quinoa is all set to go. Now quinoa, for those of you that were unaware, it's a gluten-free grain, and it's a great source of fiber. So you know that you're giving your family a really great source of fiber.
All right, so I think our chicken and veggies are just about done. Should we check on them?
Yeah. It smells amazing.
Oh, I wish you guys could smell it. I'm sure your kitchen smelled just as good. Don't forget to use oven mitts because this is gonna be hot. Well, everybody, I hope you're hungry and ready to eat. The quinoa with roasted veggies and chicken is ready to go. So, the Tastefully Simple kit you ordered has 4 additional meals ready for you to cook and share with your friends and family. Just like Open Arms Adoptions creates forever families, Tastefully Simple brings them all back to the dinner table. Thank you all so very much again for supporting Open Arms and helping us create forever families. Bon appetit.
Buen provecho.
Thank you.